Hey friends, I'm Quinn and I'm wandering around the West telling stories that want to be told. And I'm at the edge of a place that definitely has a story. This is the Columbia River. The Columbia River is the 5th largest river in the world and the 2nd largest in the United States. So I picked up a visitor guide, and here are some facts. The Grand Coolee Dam is one of 11 dams on the Columbia River, and it dwarfs the size of the Great Pyramids in Egypt. It also is the largest hydroelectric power producer in the United States. And finally, it is one of the biggest things made out of concrete. It says in here that with all the concrete in this dam right here, you could make a 6-foot wide sidewalk all the way around the world at the equator. So, by all accounts, this dam is great. It provides flood control for the whole Columbia River, it provides irrigation for much of the desert land around it, and it produces hydroelectric power. So some of you may ask, what's the problem? Fish. This dam has no fish ladders. You know, fish ladders, those things that can help migrating salmon maneuver around huge blockages like a dam this size. The story goes that in the early 1930s, during the Depression, Congress vetoed the idea of fish ladders in this dam because of the multi-million-dollar cost. So, no more salmon here. No more migrating salmon. They can't get through. Before all these dams were built on the Columbia River, salmon would migrate from the Pacific Ocean hundreds of miles downstream, up the Columbia and all of its tributaries, well into Canada and Idaho and Montana. Now, when I say salmon, I don't mean just a few salmon, I mean millions and millions of salmon. Enough salmon to sustain thousands and thousands of people. So here is a plaque devoted to Franklin D. Roosevelt, the president, when this dam was dedicated. And it says, "To FDR, whose vision and unswerving devotion to the cause of conservation and development of natural resources of the West for national security and the permanent enrichment of the American people brought about the construction of the Grand Coolee Dam." I find it ironic that President Roosevelt at the time, and many others since, say that they're interested in the conservation of natural resources, and yet they do actions that actually lead to the direct opposite. In building this dam, it made it inevitable that the salmon would not be able to pass and therefore cease to exist, and all of the life that depended on it still depends on it. So I know this is a complicated issue. There are many of you out there who will always firmly believe that progress and power and such are needed for human development and for our society. But there is also the issue of the other species and the other groups of beings that inhabit the earth with us. How do our actions affect them? And then in turn, when we do things that hurt them, how does that affect us? Salmon is a key issue in that equation. So, I'm not going to tell you anything about what to think. I'm just showing you, and my job is to tell stories that want to be told. From the Grand Coolee Dam and the place where salmon run no more, but might again in the future, I'm Quinn Elizabeth.